What's up, everybody? This is Jesse Linares with the Villa ArTeam. Here today to talk to you about our signature series Swivel Shears and why you might want one. To facilitate this discussion, we're going to go after some nice, easy flowing long layers that just flow with each other very easily. No real scoop outs or big dents or dips or shag appearance to it. Nice and easy that allow us to talk about the aspects of the swivel shears and how to exploit them. So we'll begin with our mannequin already pre-sectioned into natural falling position. And what that means is that we found these natural turning points that occur on the head, the center line that separates the head from left to right, the widest point or the apex that runs from the side of the head to the top to the other side, and then the respective corners that live in the front and the back. We already have that sectioned off, so we can get right to the discussion, and we'll put her right here. I'm going to bring her in nice and tight. So this technique from the history book is called over-directed layering. And we know over time that most of us have redefined over-direction as a movement that goes side to side or left to right, distributes the hair out of natural fall position with results that yield length that moves away from the face, or length and weight in the opposite direction of the way that you pulled that hair. So we're going to start with this first section here. And where we are on the head, right behind the ear, moving to the corner back on the right-hand side. And when we elevate this, we're going to get really underneath it and really work all of this hair up and across the head to the other side. At what point does this become over direction? No one really can say, but I think the consensus is that label is applied once the hair actually is elevated up and then crosses over the high point of the head to move to the other side of the head where the cutting position is. So that's what we're going to do here, is that we bring this straight up with great tension, and it actually needs to cross the high point of the head. I'm going to dip Lydia down here a little bit so we can take a better look at that together. So coming here from the corner on the right-hand side, elevate it up, and it actually will sort of straddle that high point of the head right there before we get into cutting position to cut it. Now, this is a moment where we can talk about the the swivel shear and what we're going to do with it. With our scissor, we would want to work from the interior here to create some nice jagged movements from the interior that will leave us the length in the end that the layers will achieve, but lots of texture on the inside. So when we're pulling hair from the right, and we want the cuts to be moving short to long away from the face, the opposite would be creating short to long toward the face, which may encourage those layers to want to fall forward instead of flow back and away. So we'll use our swivel shear now, and by having our thumb on the inside, without ever taking the thumb out, we are able to achieve just about any cutting position. So slowly turning it around in my hand, and you'll notice that our double tangs there find my ring finger and keep this very secure. And so now I can come in from over the top here. This is much easier for me than trying to work from the inside out going this way. So this allows me to maintain my body position directly in front of the section that I'm working in, and then to make my cuts. Working from the interior, making sure that my scissor goes through the hair completely. That way I'm affecting the hair at the top of the subsection as well as the bottom. And then once I've completed that, without removing my thumb, I can just bring it right back to where it was. Really a lot of fun to work with a swivel scissor. This section is now complete. When we elevate the hair as high as we did just then, a lot of it drops out to be left at the bottom. I've even heard some people say that you're not really cutting much hair above or below the so-called parietal ridge, or this transition that happens vertically on the head. We're going to jump over to the other side and do the corresponding section on the left side. This is the section, as we said, that is found between the parting at the top of the ear and the corner back. Now for a guide, we'll actually take a little tiny piece of what we just cut, and because it's sharing the same territory here, high point of the head, we can bring it with us. So actually wrapping or laying that hair across the head, making sure that the high point is right there in the middle. Now here, we're on the right-hand side of the head, cutting hair from the left-hand side. So very naturally, our scissor will work this way in our hand, and we can make that cut. And we achieve that final length that the guide showed us, but then we are able to get inside that section and take out cuts with texture. So the next section here takes us from the top of the ear into the corner front on the left-hand side. Let's take a little more moisture here. And we'll take a little bit of what we just cut as a guide. And then once again on the inside, I'm just turning it a little towards us so we can see. So what we're getting here now, what happens when we press all of this hair and carry it over with such great tension to the other side of the head is that there is no vertical collapsing point. So they will actually want to mimic the round shape of the head, creating almost a convex shape within the layer. And you'll see when I elevate this up vertically to cross-check, we can see that the hair is absolutely supported all the way down by the layers that live underneath. Sometimes when we layer hair vertically, we are impacted by the curvature that lives on the inside of the head. So if we were to cut this like so, then the curvature from the inside of the head would make the interior of this section have shorter hair than the exterior points. And that's what gives us sometimes that really hard, pronounced scallop or scoop to the shape. Now watch this. As we let this out, you can see that the hair continues to gain length all the way to the bottom, mimicking that curve of the head. Really a fun technique. Bringing this up and over once again with great tension. And I'll just turn so we can see we want to get all of that. And notice that we turn the teeth of the comb away from us as we comb this up. That'll prevent us from snagging or pulling hair from the adjacent sections. So bringing this up and with great tension over the high point of the head. So coming in once again, what's great about the swivel scissor is that it just allows us to very easily transition and create the grip that we need in the cut right where we are. My guide just fell out, so it will come in there and make those cuts. Do a little random stuff if you want to. Have some fun. Just taking weight out of the interior. The length guide is almost to my fingers, so just making sure that I try and achieve that length all the way out there. Working from the interior with the slide cutting or the swivel shear. Finishing these layers will be easy too. If you ever have that guest that says to you, I want some flowy layers, that's why I hear that one a lot. Or I don't want to hear choppy in my layers. I don't want to have anything like that. I want them to be soft. I don't want or the one guest that said to me, I don't want to see meaning like a very shagged out and choppy appearance. I love the things that our guests come up with for us, the ways that they describe things. All right, bringing this section up and just really using the teeth of the comb, the fine teeth, to work all of that up until once again, we achieve that good tension and we are able to cross the high point of the head with it. Bringing this up and over, nice profile view here, has to come over the high point of the head. Now, if we don't center this to the high point of the head and we allow it to come to one side or the other, then that in fact would be actual overdirection, to where it has been distributed out of its natural fall position beyond the movement of elevation itself. So just getting under there, pulling up a little bit of the guide that we've been using, and it lands right about there and coming in this way. Working through the interior, making sure the length finally rolls out at my fingers where the guide was. But working from the interior allows us to get all of that fun texture so we don't have just a straight cut and it disrupts that upper layer set, gives some little shorties that live in there a little more frothy appearance, as my man Sam might say. So right here, last section, combing this up straight up. We can start on this side if we want to, combing it up like this, but then before long, we're gonna have to move to the other side. That way we can bring this over towards us. We actually meet up on the other hemisphere of the head, if you will. And you can really see how far that section had to travel to get to this place. So bringing this on over, getting underneath there at the high point and looking for our guide. There he is, bringing this over with good tension. And once again, we're going to take our swivel shear. We want to be able to attack from this side a little bit. So we're going to roll this over in our hand. A little hyperextension of the elbow for a moment, but allows us to be most correct in what we're trying to do. And sometimes we do sacrifice our body just for a moment to get that good cut. All right, I'm going to bring her on back here. Take a look at the front of this. These two bevels up front will actually be treated in the same way as the rest. They're going to be elevated up without actual overdirection. We'll call it an overdirected layer because that was the name that was given to it, and we want to pay credit to that source. But in actuality, it is high elevation, not so much actual overdirection. If you like to nerd out on terminologies, there's one. That's a fun one. Hotly contested across the industry. What is overdirection? All right, so now we have our guide here from before. Let's just grab a little bit more so we get a nice representation of that. There it goes, off screen a little bit. And now we're going to elevate this up just like the rest. We bring it on back. We're looking for that guide to roll out. There it is. And then we want these cuts to happen moving away from the face. So we're going to take our scissor and we enter this way. Short to long angles moving away. When the guide drops out, we're free to make our cuts. On the other side, we'll have to change that hand position to create those short to long cuts that move away from the center line in the front. Exact same movement being taken up and then across the high point of the head to find this guide. We'll get a profile view on this one. Our guide rolls out right there. So once again, we exploit the unique characteristics of the swivel shear that allow us to wrap this around and create this. The perfect angle that we want. And those move away from the face the opposite direction. And for our finish, we're going to take it nice and easy, just like the cut did, and we're going to use our Artist Series polishing paddle brush. A nice combination of first cut boar bristle and tourmaline infused nylon pins to gently detangle and defrizz with a nice easy shine. So we're left with a nice, soft, flowing finish and a highly texturized look that flows ever so nicely. And we hope you guys had a good time with us today, exploring the swivel shear and what you can do with it, and playing with some long layers. This is Jesse Linares with the Villa ArTeam. What's great about a swivel shear is that while your thumb gets to stay inside the ring, you can pretty much achieve any grip or position that you would like. And the thumb gets to stay in the entire time, even allowing us to get to hyperextensions or places where we might be lifting up high and point cutting, or going from underneath and working a vertical line across a perimeter. All of these options become open to us when we use a swivel shear.